welcome everybody who is here attending and who's didn't have the chance to and is looking to, eventually we'll look at this when they get it in the email after we're done. So this is our second in a series of webinars where we're looking to give people the tools to excel in the world of SAP. Today's webinar is titled How to Become an SAP Hero in Your Organization. Just a quick note on how we're going to proceed with the webinar. Momentarily, I'm going to introduce our guest hosts. He'll then give a thorough presentation. And finally, he's going to be able to field any questions you might have. Feel free on the bottom of the Zoom, there's a button for the chat. If you have any questions in the middle of the presentation, please feel free to put a question in the section there, and we'll be sure to field that question as we go along later on in the webinar. So without further ado, here I'll present to you Avi Mishan. So Avi Mishan, he graduated with honors from the Technion Institute with a bachelor's and master's in science of mechanical engineering. He holds an MBA from Bar-Ilan University. Avi has spent over 22 years as an ABAP developer, including working as a development manager at SAP Labs. He's an SAP expert. He spends his time creating a vast array of innovative solutions for in the SAP enterprise world. Today, along with being the founder and CEO of DPros, Avi teaches and lectures on subjects of SAP and is widely considered a leading authority of SAP. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Avi, which will begin with the presentation.
So thank you, Jordan, for the kind words. Today I'm going to talk about how analysts or implementers may turn into SAP heroes. To be able to do so, I need to talk first about the Trinity: SAP project, the analyst, and the unit economics of implementing SAP projects by analysts. Quickly enough, I hope to convince you that SAP projects are extremely lengthy and expensive. More than that, I hope to show you that with today's tool, the ability of the analyst to change any of that is pretty limited. This is why the queue for new developments in SAP is always full, and business are looking for solutions elsewhere. The major part of this presentation is dedicated to show you what could be done in regard. I will present our alternative, and I will show you several examples of projects that I done recently using our tool. In my opinion, this list of projects by itself is a great takeaway from this webinar. So no wonder SAP projects are lengthy in time and extremely expensive. SAP is the beating heart of enterprises all over the world. Managers are dependent on SAP to issue invoices for customers, to order raw materials, and to handle production. These ERP modules are tangled together and interlinked with each other. And thus, any careless change may put at risk basic abilities such as the ability to invoice, to order, and to manufacture. I would like to spare a second on what could be regarded as an SAP project. Taking out queries and fixing small bugs, we were left with SAP projects. These projects combine functions from business, analysts, developers, and testers. In this chain of command, so to speak, end users, they perfectly understand the business. Analysts, they know business and SAP. Developers know how to code in ABAP, and testers make sure that what's specified is what handed over. Each group is expert in specific domain and master its unique skill set needed for implementing SAP projects. SAP projects follow the development lifecycle and is composed of the following phases: specification, design, implementation, and testing. Each step hands over a document to the next link in the chain. Something else is that SAP projects live in 3 different SAP environments. They start on the development system, then they are moved to QA systems for testing, and upon successful testings, they are moved to production. Just aside, it's needless to say that if the business end users, if they knew how to talk natively with SAP, they could avoid the entire chain of experts involved in SAP projects. So let's talk about the analyst, aka implementer. These people, they practically drive SAP projects. The analysts orchestrate the entire process. They get the requirements from the business end users, and they make sure these requirements are met. However, analysts are pretty limited in their ability to execute. Analysts are caught in the middle, always. They bridge between business end user requirements and the development abilities. The first group, the business end users, they require A, while development can deliver A minus. So analysts bridge between these groups, and they bridge between SAP and organization in terms of what can and cannot be done in SAP, as well as mitigating problems with SAP supporting. Analysts also bridge between business and IT internally. So SAP as well doesn't make the life of the analyst easy. Analysts live within the boundaries defined by SAP. Sometimes things could not be done in SAP, just like that. Yet SAP system is huge, and often we have the opposite problem, where SAP provides the analysts with many options to do the same thing, and the analyst should pick the best way for the organization. Something else happens when developing a new process, one that doesn't exist in SAP. In that case, all the responsibility and burden is laid on the shoulders of the analyst. So we have orchestrating an SAP project, which is something that shouldn't be taken lightly, because you have to make sure that all these groups, each driven by different goals, are in sync. In addition, the analysts, they live in a wider world than a single project. All SAP projects that are running concurrently have to be synchronized as well. With lengthy and costly projects and extremely challenging work for the analyst, the number of SAP projects handled per year is very limited. Let me elaborate on this one. On one hand, demand from business is growing rapidly because of the ever-changing environment. But on the other hand, the IT team is has limits on its budget and the labor. So that's why business technology team is always running short of time and resources. Okay, and the queue of development is getting longer and longer, and the time this project are taking to deliver is getting longer and longer as well. With not good enough solutions within SAP, business is seeking for solutions elsewhere. Some of the work, mostly reports, is directed to BI tools and Excel sheets. However, in other cases, business is trying to find solutions in other software, like Salesforce for sales, Ariba for SRM, and others. So let us spare a few seconds on Insight SAP. This tool is based on reuse, everything around reuse. It takes things you already have, and it enables you to extend them and to fit them to your current needs. This way, any report or query could be served as the baseline for an SAP project. Take, for example, the standard SAP report for PO, for purchase orders. Okay, you can turn this one into a dashboard for open POs. You can add new data columns. You can navigate to SAP business objects and to other reports. You can add charts, you can add grouping, and you can find like everything using this tool within these reports. You can add colors, okay, using business rules. You can add toolbar buttons, okay, to must change business objects within SAP. All is done on production, without code, and in hours. InsightCreator is actually a virtual layer that sits inside of SAP. It is SAP native and it is SAP certified. It is coded in ABAP and it is shipped using change requests. Okay, it is installed in minutes and ready to be used. So this is what we are using for project these days. So let me show you a bucket list. The project that were recently handled using Insight. So the first one is a dashboard to convert plan orders to production orders, a recommendation screen to convert these plan orders to purchase acquisition, proof of deliveries, and other. I'm going to spare more time on the first three, and when I will talk about the others, I will just show you the screenshots of this project. So I'm moving on for the first example of project. So this project is all about converting plan orders coming from the MRP to production order. So the goal is to bring all supporting information to one single place and to enable the business end users to mass convert those planned orders into production planning orders. So this is how this project look like. You can check this button, which is the end product of the entire thing. After you mark a few records and you press this one, this will convert plan orders into production orders. But there's so many supporting things like this grouping, like this navigation to MRP transaction, this information coming from the database and others. Okay, so this should summarize this project. The baseline is the table quiz. Okay, and the additional features are toolbar function to convert plan orders to production orders, a grouping mechanism to group information by date and by production containers. To your left, this is the production containers and this is the date. Additional data, characteristics, material characteristics, material and stock data, long text and input fields, navigation to materials, to sales orders, to notification, to batch best before date information, stock, and stock availability. And this one is based on snapshot we're using to show release purchase of production planning orders and production orders confirmation. Okay, let's talk about the ROI of this project alone. This organization cut down three people that used to do this work. Okay, so on top of labor cut down, the execution time was cut really, and because we're talking about online execution versus something that was done once a day, and it's far better on-time delivery using this mechanism. The second example is converting the plan order of the MRP into purchase acquisition. This is the other end of the MRP. So again, the goal is to bring all the information to one place and to enable mass conversion of these plan orders to PRs. So it looks the same, but it's an entire different project. In this case, the users are able to do the conversion automatically and semi-automatically. This one enters the transaction with the entire information filled in, and then the business end user may change something and then press save. Again, we have grouping to the left, we have a navigation, we have consumption, material consumption. This is the average consumption and this is the total consumption, and many other part of information that needed for this process. So again, toolbar function to convert those plan orders, grouping by MRP type, additional data like last consumption, average consumption, ABC indicator, prices, average, standard, last PO, and info records, and other data. Navigation to materials, to last POs, to MV15 and 04, which are relevant for this process. Info records, and again, information, navigation to information about stock. Okay. Next one, so just to summarize the return on investment, in this case, only one FTE was cut down, but the most important thing is that the organization start working with MRP on purchase acquisition because of this project. So now everything is done automatically, and we can focus on elements with financial values rather than try to convert things without the financial information in hand. The third example I will elaborate on is proof of delivery. So in this case, we are talking about a problem where trucks get into the factory, okay, and they leave the containers at the gates. And it takes two to 3 days until the warehouse people actually goods receive the information. So in between, project managers are waiting for stock that already entered the gates of the factory, but nobody knows about it. So this is a huge problem, and they lived with it. And the goal was to allow project managers to know of POs as soon as they arrive to the factory. And the second thing is to inform stakeholders of everything received at a specific date. So this is the entire thing done for this project. It's I think 30 minutes worth of work, but it solved the issue. Let me explain how it was done. So using open PO transaction, okay, all those POs that didn't arrive yet are placed here. We added an input field along with info, the input field. So as soon as somebody marks this PO as arrived, the information about the time and who did it appears here. So as soon as we have this one, every 30 minutes, we send the relevant project managers an email saying this PO just arrived. And if it's important stock, then the managers will go to the warehouse and ask them, urge them to unload this container. So again, additional data, that's the input checkbox plus input info columns, publishing every 30 minutes, and the information is sent to the correct project manager, the one that is responsible for this PO. And every day, daily, the stakeholders are getting the aggregated information in another email. Again, up until this point, projects were stalled just because raw materials that were already in the organization couldn't be found. Okay, lead time was shortened due to this one, and they added KPIs for the warehouse performance. So now I'm going to run through a few projects with not too much explanations, but if you want, I can dig and drill into any of those. So this one was a tender to supply 10,000 items. So this is a dashboard to send all these 10,000 items to vendors to get a quotation. So each one of these records was sent to 3 to 4 vendors. The information was sent back using Excel and uploaded again to this project, and the best prices were calculated. And for the 10,000 items, the best price was used to supply information for this tender. The second one is lead time calculation. So as soon as we commit for a specific lead time, we have to calculate how many working days will elapse until the time comes. together with some other business rules. So if it enters after 12 o'clock, you have to add a day. And if there's another setup time, you have to add an extra day. So this is the calculation done by the business in order to make sure that the lead time calculated is accurate and could be met. Because if a lead time are missed, then penalty is in place. This is an amazing project. A huge company purchased a specific department from another company. So the SAP machine should be split into two, okay, per each company. So SAP created another company code on the same machine, and now the stock was to be moved from one company code to the other. So what you see here, these are 5 toolbar functions that are just the same. Behind all those buttons, they're the same code, but each one is mapping to a different population of information, of like unrestricted, quality assurance, block, restricted, and others, okay? And this code takes care to move stock of any type, IM and WM, batch managed, serial managed, and all the specific statuses, okay? So this is a huge project handed in less than 2 days. This one is a contract review. After the quotation of the company was accepted by the customer, the order should be created. And there's a really short period of time, 48 hours, where the vendor, the company, the factory should tell exactly how much time, how much money the order should be for. And if there were errors, they should be specified at this section. So you can see they bring all the needed information, okay, including promised data, changing the promised data at the new created order to make sure that everything in sync with the ability to perform and to deliver things on time. This one is a pricing monitor. This one is based on a BOM report, and it takes the prices of each part and it calculates the base price per specific bill of material. Okay, it's really important to know what is the best price for the entire BOM in order to set the best price at the quotation phase. So I think I scanned enough project, but okay, sorry, I thought this is the end. This one is like replacing workflow. So in notification, there are many tasks. So using this one, whenever a task is due, an email is sent to the next chain, the next person in line, and they get email and they do their work. So instead of creating workflow in SAP, this one was used to push tasks from one person to the other. What if I tell you that each and every one of this project was done by the very same analyst in a time span of 8 months, while this was not the main thing she did during that period? Okay, so like 10 projects in 8 months, while it was like a sidecar to the things she do. So this is the end of this presentation.
First, I'd like to thank Avi for his detailed and informative presentation. Avi's SAP knowledge is truly a treasure. I want to thank you for sharing some of your insights with us here today. I'm constantly learning new things every time we talk, so I always enjoy to hear these kind of webinars. I want to thank everyone else for attending today's webinar. I hope that it's been informative and beneficial to you all to help you guide you all in becoming the SAP hero in your organization. We will be sending you all a copy of this webinar. I encourage all of you to share it with your colleagues. you're always welcome to check out our website. It's insight-sap.com, and to be in touch with us if you'd like to get more information. So again, thank you, Avi, very much for your presentation. Thank you, everyone else, for attending, and have a great day.